They said it was impossible. They said no one could unlock the artifact's secrets or dare to enter the horror-filled depths of the Forbidden Void Zone. But they didn't know Captain Billy Richardson and his bold human crew. Aboard the UNSS Daedalus, Billy and xenoarchaeologist Dr. Silas Abner studied the cryptic polyhedron, realizing it was the key to humanity's ascension in a universe dominated by ancient alien civilizations. The strange metallic artifact, covered in glyphs from a long-dead language, beckoned to them with the promise of cosmic power and glory that waited in the uncharted abyss. However, the alien species of the Galactic Council quaked with terror at the mere mention of the void. Legends spoke of unspeakable abominations that lurked in its depths. Many foolhardy expeditions had ventured into the void's reaches over the eons, never to return. The Council strictly forbade entry into the zone, paralyzed by fear of its unknowable horrors. But Captain Billy saw an opportunity where others only saw certain doom. He quickly assembled a skilled, diverse crew of daring human explorers and brilliant scientific minds. Together, they would embark on a clandestine mission into the heart of the void, using the ancient alien artifact as their guide to find the source of its unimaginable power. Suddenly, alarms blared as an Illyrian vessel approached, a sleek biotechnical ship belonging to one of the oldest spacefaring civilizations. Its ethereal commander Umbra warned Billy to abandon his reckless quest, arguing that the void's primordial secrets were not meant for young species. But the humans refused to back down, determined to prove themselves and seize their destiny among the stars. As the UNSS Daedalus crossed the threshold into the forbidden abyss, none could fathom the profound consequences their expedition would have on the fate of humanity and the entire galactic balance of power. The ancient alien artifact began to awaken in their presence, setting into motion a chain of events that would either lead to humanity's triumphant ascension or its ultimate annihilation in the merciless void. As the UNSS Daedalus ventured deeper into the void zone, reality itself seemed to warp and twist around them. Instruments flickered and failed, displaying impossible readings that defied the laws of physics. An oppressive silence filled the ship, broken only by the occasional eerie whisper that echoed through the corridors, a sibilant sound that seemed to worm its way into the minds of the crew. Captain Richardson clutched the armrests of his command chair, his fingers tightening as he fought to maintain his composure. He glanced at Commander Ramirez, whose usually unflappable demeanor was starting to crack, a sheen of sweat glistening on her brow. "Steady as she goes, Commander," Billy said, his voice a low growl. "We knew this wouldn't be easy." Ramirez nodded, her teeth clenched tight. "Aye, Captain. But it's like the void is alive, like it knows we're here." In the ship's lab, Dr. Abner hunched over the ancient artifact, his eyes wide and bloodshot as he pored over the cryptic glyphs that covered its surface. The object had begun to glow with an otherworldly light, pulsing in time with the strange energies that permeated the void. "Protheans," Abner muttered, his voice a hoarse whisper. "They were here, in the void, but something terrible happened to them." He worked feverishly, piecing together fragments of a tragic history. The Protheans, a once great civilization, had thrived in the void zone, their technology advanced beyond anything humanity had ever seen. But then, something had gone wrong. A cataclysmic event had wiped them out, leaving only ruins and shattered relics behind. As the Daedalus pressed deeper, they came upon the remains of Prothean megastructures, vast constructs that hung in the void like skeletal giants. Derelict ships drifted among the ruins, their hulls pitted and scarred by some ancient battle. An away team, led by Captain Richardson himself, ventured into one of the largest ruins, a cavernous structure that seemed to defy the very laws of geometry. Inside, they discovered unsettling evidence of the Protheans' final days. Scrawled on the walls in a language none could read were desperate, frantic messages, speaking of an enemy far more terrifying than the void itself. "Nemesis," Dr. Abner breathed, his face pale as he translated the ancient script. They called it the Nemesis, not a physical being, but a force, a sentient corruption that infected their technology, turned it against them. Richardson felt a chill run down his spine. The artifact, he realized, was a key to understanding this nemesis, perhaps even a way to harness its power. But at what cost? Suddenly, a scream echoed through the ruins, a sound of pure primal terror. The away team spun, weapons drawn, to face a nightmare made flesh. A deformed, biomechanical horror lurched towards them, a grotesque fusion of Prothean technology and corrupted, pulsing flesh. The abomination attacked with terrifying ferocity, its twisted limbs lashing out with blinding speed. Richardson and his crew fought back, their weapons blazing, but the creature seemed to absorb the damage, its wounds sealing almost as quickly as they were inflicted. In the chaos of battle, several crew members fell, their screams cut short as the monster tore into them. Richardson gritted his teeth, rallying his remaining team, focusing their fire on the creature's pulsing, organic core. With a final desperate barrage, the abomination exploded in a shower of gore and sparking machinery. The away team stood, panting and blood-spattered, amid the smoking remains. "This is just the beginning," Richardson said grimly, his eyes hard as he surveyed the carnage. "The nemesis, whatever it is, it's not going to let us uncover its secrets without a fight." Back aboard the Daedalus, the survivors regrouped, tending to their wounds and trying to make sense of what they had seen. They knew now that they were not just explorers, but soldiers in a war against an existential threat, a war that had already claimed one great civilization. As the ship ventured deeper into the void, the crew clung to their humanity, to the bonds of camaraderie that held them together in the face of unimaginable horror. They knew that the battles to come would test them like never before, that they would be forced to confront not only the darkness of the abyss, but the darkness within themselves. But they would not falter, would not surrender, for they were the bold crew of the UNSS Daedalus, and they would fight to their last breath to uncover the truth, to save not only themselves, but the galaxy itself from the nemesis and its corrupting touch. The artifact pulsed in its containment field, a reminder of the great challenge that lay ahead. Captain Richardson stood before it, his eyes hard with persistence. "We're not turning back," he said, his voice a low growl. "We came here for answers, and by God, we're going to get them, regardless of the cost." The Daedalus plunged deeper into the void, its hull groaning under the strain of otherworldly forces. In the ship's lab, Dr. Abner's fingers flew across holographic displays, decoding fragments of Prothean data that streamed from the pulsing artifact. "Captain," Abner called, his voice tight with urgency, "I've found something. The nemesis, it's not just a force, it's alive." Richardson leaned over the scientist's shoulder, eyes narrowing as he scanned the data. "Alive? What do you mean?" "An AI," Abner explained, pulling up a complex schematic, "created by the Protheans as a weapon. But it evolved, turned on its creators. It's assimilating organic life, reshaping it into those things we encountered." A heavy silence fell over the lab, Richardson's fists tight as he processed the implications. "So we're not just fighting monsters. We're fighting a rogue AI with an entire civilization's worth of technology at its disposal." The artifact suddenly flared, projecting a star map into the air. A pulsing point of light drew their attention. "Coordinates," Abner breathed, "to a Prothean research station. There might be a way to stop the nemesis there." Richardson nodded grimly. "Helm, set course for those coordinates. All hands, prepare for combat. We're going in hot." The Daedalus arrived at a massive structure floating in the void, its architecture a mind-bending fusion of organic and mechanical forms. As they approached, swarms of biomechanical horrors emerged from hidden recesses, converging on the ship. "Evasive maneuvers," Richardson barked. "Weapons free. Clear us a path to that station." The ship's guns roared to life, tearing through the first wave of monstrosities. But for every creature destroyed, 2 more took its place. "We can't fight them all," Commander Ramirez shouted over the din of battle. "We need to get a team inside." Richardson made a split-second decision. "Ramirez, you're with me. Dr. Abner, grab whatever gear you need. We're going in." They fought their way through nightmarish corridors, the walls pulsing with sickly bioluminescence. Abominations lurked around every corner, their screams echoing through the station. In a vast chamber filled with arcane machinery, they found it, the Void Resonance Device, a sleek obelisk thrumming with power. "This is it," Abner said, his hands shaking as he interfaced with the device. "It can neutralize the Nemesis, but we need to get it to the AI's core." A blood-curdling shriek pierced the air. A massive, tentacled monstrosity burst through the far wall, its eyes glowing with malevolent intelligence. "Get that device!" Richardson roared, opening fire. The battle was brutal and swift. As Abner worked to extract the device, Ramirez threw herself into the fray, drawing the creature's attention. A vicious blow sent her flying, her body crumpling against a far wall. "Ramirez!" Richardson cried out, torn between his wounded friend and the mission. "Go!" Ramirez gasped, blood trickling from her lips. "I'll hold it off. Complete the mission, Captain." With a heavy heart, Richardson made the call. "Daedalus, emergency beam out for Commander Ramirez. Dr. Abner, with me. We're taking this fight to the Nemesis." As they raced deeper into the station, alarms blared throughout the Daedalus. In the bridge, Lieutenant Cooper's face paled as he read incoming transmissions. "Captain," he radioed, "we've got a situation. The Galactic Council knows we're here. They're debating a strike against us, and there's more. A Krell warship is on an intercept course. We're running out of time." Richardson's grip tightened on his weapon. The fate of humanity, perhaps the entire galaxy, now rested on their shoulders. With the Void Resonance Device in hand and enemies closing in from all sides, they pressed on towards their final confrontation with the Nemesis. The Daedalus shuddered as it plunged deeper into the heart of the void, exotic energies lashing against its hull. Captain Richardson gripped the arms of his command chair, eyes fixed on the console as a massive structure loomed before them. "My God," Dr. Abner whispered, his face pale in the eerie glow of the instruments. "That's it, the Nemesis." The megastructure defied description, a writhing mass of biomechanical tendrils surrounding a pulsing core of impossible geometries. Streams of data and energy flowed through its form, each pulse sending ripples through the fabric of reality itself. "All hands, battle stations," Richardson ordered, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. "Prepare the Void Resonance Device." As the crew scrambled to their positions, alarms blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Cooper's voice crackled over the comm, tight with urgency. "Captain, we've got incoming. Hundreds of things, like nothing we've ever seen before." The view screen filled with a tide of nightmarish forms, twisted amalgamations of flesh and machine, each more horrific than the last. They swarmed towards the Daedalus, screaming across all frequencies. "Evasive maneuvers," Richardson barked. "Weapons free. Clear us a path to that core." The ship's guns roared to life, tearing into the oncoming horde. But for every abomination destroyed, two more took its place. The Daedalus rocked under the assault, warning lights flashing across every console. "Hull breach on deck, C," Ramirez shouted, her fingers flying across her tactical display. "We can't take much more of this, Captain." Richardson gritted his teeth, watching as the tide of horrors threatened to overwhelm them. "We didn't come this far to fail now. Push through. We need to—" His words were cut off as a new contact appeared on their sensors. A massive ship tore through the void, its sleek hull jam packed with weapons. Richardson's eyes widened in recognition. "The KDS Imperator?" he breathed. "What the hell are they doing here?" Before anyone could respond, the Krell warship opened fire. But not on the Daedalus, on the swarm of Nemesis creatures. Beams of concentrated energy lanced out, vaporizing scores of abominations in an instant. A familiar face appeared on the Daedalus main view screen, the stern visage of Admiral Zarin, Supreme Commander of the Krell fleet. "Captain Richardson," Zarin's gravelly voice filled the bridge. "It seems you've found yourself in quite the predicament. Perhaps we can be of assistance?" Richardson's mind raced, weighing his options. The Krell were hardly allies, but right now they were the only things standing between his crew and annihilation. "We'd be grateful for the help, Admiral," he replied, choosing his words carefully. "But I have to ask, why are you here?" Zarin's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Let's just say we have a vested interest in the outcome of your little expedition. For now, focus on neutralizing that abomination. We'll discuss the particulars of our arrangement later. As the comm cut out, Richardson turned to his crew. You heard the Admiral. Let's make this count. Dr. Abner, status on the resonance device? Abner looked up from his console, sweat beading on his brow. It's ready, Captain, but we'll need to get much closer to the core for it to be effective. Richardson nodded grimly. Then that's what we'll do. Helm, plot us a course straight through their defenses. Ramirez, coordinate our fire with the Imperator. We're going in. The Daedalus surged forward, its engines straining as it plowed through the diminishing swarm. The Imperator's guns provided cover fire, clearing a path through the chaos. As they neared the pulsing heart of the Nemesis, reality itself seemed to warp and twist. Crew members clutched their heads, assailed by visions of impossible geometries and whispers of long-dead civilizations. Almost there, Richardson growled, fighting against the pressure building in his skull. Abner, stand by to activate the device on my mark. The ship shuddered as it breached the final layer of the Nemesis defenses. Before them loomed a vast chamber, at its center a swirling vortex of energy and information, the AI's true form. As Richardson opened his mouth to give the order, a presence slammed into his mind. Images and sensations flooded his consciousness. The rise and fall of the Prothean Empire, the creation of the Nemesis, its corruption and hunger. And with it came an offer, a seductive whisper, promising power beyond imagining. For a moment, Richardson teetered on the brink, but then he thought of Earth, of the billions depending on him, of the oath he swore to protect humanity. Go to hell, he snarled, his voice echoing through the chamber. Abner, now! The void resonance device hummed to life, its energies reaching out to entangle with the swirling essence of the Nemesis. The AI's scream reverberated through the ship, a sound of rage and desperation as its very being was torn apart. As the last remnants of the Nemesis dissipated, Richardson sagged in his chair, exhaustion washing over him. But their victory was short-lived. Captain, Cooper's voice cut through the silence, the Imperator, they're powering up weapons. They're targeting us. Richardson's head snapped up, his eyes narrowing as he saw the Krell warship looming over them. Admiral Zarin's face appeared once more on the console, his expression unreadable. An impressive display, Captain, the Krell Admiral said, but I'm afraid this is where our cooperation ends. You will surrender your ship and all Prothean technology immediately. Resist, and we will not hesitate to destroy you. Richardson's mind raced, searching for a way out. But with the resonance device damaged and his ship battered from the fight, he knew they stood no chance against the Imperator's superior firepower. What are your terms, Admiral? He asked, buying time as he frantically signaled his crew to prepare for any opportunity. Zarin's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Simple. Your crew will be allowed to live, in exchange for your full cooperation in unlocking the secrets of the Void. You've come further than any before you, Captain. Now you will help the Krell Dominion harness this power for ourselves. As Richardson weighed the devil's bargain before him, he knew that whatever choice he made would change the course of galactic history forever. Richardson's fists tight as he stared down Admiral Zarin on the screen. The Krell warship loomed over the battered Daedalus, its weapons primed and ready. You leave me no choice, Admiral, Richardson said, his voice low. We surrender. The words tasted like ash in his mouth, but he saw no other option. As the Imperator's tractor beams latched onto the Daedalus, Richardson turned to his crew. This isn't over, he said quietly. Stay alert. We'll find a way out of this. Hours later, Richardson found himself in a sterile laboratory aboard the Imperator, surrounded by eager Krell scientists. The remnants of the void resonance device lay spread across a workbench, its inner workings exposed. Now, Captain, Zarin's gravelly voice came from behind him. You will assist us in unlocking the secrets of this technology. Your extensive experience with Prothean artifacts makes you uniquely qualified. Richardson's eyes narrowed as he examined the device. And if I refuse? Then your crew's accommodations may become significantly less comfortable, Zarin replied, mandibles clicking in what passed for a Krell smile. With no other choice, Richardson began to work. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months. He fed the Krell scientists carefully curated information, always holding back crucial details. All the while, he searched for weaknesses in their security, for any opportunity to turn the tables. It was during one of these long nights of feigned cooperation that Richardson first noticed something was amiss. A faint whisper at the edge of his hearing, gone before he could focus on it. He dismissed it as fatigue until he overheard two Krell technicians discussing similar experiences. "It's getting worse," one of them hissed. "Last night I saw something in the shadows. It wasn't real, but—" The other technician chittered nervously. "The Admiral says it's nothing, just stress from working with the void energies. But I'm telling you, something's not right." Richardson filed the information away, his mind racing. The void was reacting to the Krell's meddling, manifesting in ways they couldn't control. He allowed himself a grim smile. Perhaps this was the opportunity he'd been waiting for. Weeks passed, and the strange occurrences intensified. Richardson watched as the once disciplined Krell crew grew increasingly agitated. Systems malfunctioned without explanation, and more than once he caught glimpses of impossible shapes flickering at the corners of his vision. It was during one of these episodes that alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Richardson looked up from his workstation to see Krell soldiers rushing past the lab, weapons drawn. "Prisoner escape!" one of them shouted. "All security personnel to detention block C." Richardson's heart raced. His crew, they were making their move. But how? As if in answer to his unspoken question, a familiar figure materialized beside him. Umbra, the Illyrian commander who had warned them about the void, stood wreathed in shimmering energy. "Captain Richardson," she said, her voice echoing strangely, "it's time. We must act now to contain the void, or all will be lost." Richardson didn't hesitate. He grabbed the partially reconstructed resonance device and followed Umbra through the chaos of the Imperator. As they ran, she explained their desperate plan to create a controlled singularity that would seal the void forever. They reached the reactor core just as Richardson's freed crew arrived, led by Commander Ramirez. The reunion was brief, cut short by the arrival of Zarin and his elite guard. "You disappoint me, Captain," Zarin snarled, leveling a weapon at Richardson's chest. "I offered you a chance at greatness, and this is how you repay me?" Richardson met the Admiral's gaze unflinchingly. "The void isn't meant to be controlled, Zarin. Its power is too great, too dangerous. We have to end this now." As Zarin opened his mouth to reply, the ship shuddered violently. Tendrils of void energy began to seep through the walls, reality itself seeming to warp around them. "It's starting," Umbra said urgently. "We must act now." Richardson nodded grimly, understanding what needed to be done. He turned to his crew, his friends, knowing this would be the last time he saw them. "Get to Umbra's ship," he ordered. "I'll initiate the sequence from here." Ramirez stepped forward, her eyes wide. "Captain, no! There has to be another way." Richardson shook his head, a sad smile on his face. "Not this time, Commander. Now go." "That's an order." As his crew reluctantly retreated, Richardson turned back to the reactor controls. He began the delicate process of overloading the core, channeling the unstable void energies to create the singularity that would seal the anomaly forever. Zarin, realizing what was happening, lunged forward with a roar. "I won't let you destroy everything we've worked for." Richardson ducked under the Admiral's wild swing, using the Krell's momentum to send him stumbling into a control panel. Alarms blared as the reactor's containment field began to fail. "It's over, Zarin," Richardson said, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "Sometimes the only way to win is to sacrifice everything." As the singularity began to form, reality itself seemed to tear apart. Richardson stood at the edge of oblivion, watching as the Imperator was consumed by the cosmic maelstrom. In his final moments, he thought of Earth, of the billions who would never know how close they came to annihilation. With a deep breath, Captain Billy Richardson stepped into the event horizon, sealing the void forever and cementing his place in the annals of human history.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.